Pro tip, if you suffer from mental illness like I do, don't buy your books when you're like at the lowest point you've been in years. Hey y'all, I'm Sarah. Welcome back, or welcome to Thrills and Kills Booktube. Yes, I still have my Halloween stuff up. It's staying up all year. Today I'm doing a book haul. I have amassed a massive amount of books over the last few weeks, despite saying I wasn't going to buy any. So I think I've got 17 or 18 today to go over with you. So how's everyone doing post-Halloween? Does anyone else get like the post-Halloween blues? I feel like, you know, we ramp up and wait all year, and then it's gone like that. So I'm trying to keep some of that spirit alive with my decor. Let's get into it in no particular order. So I've gotten stuff from Pango Books this go around. I've never used Pango Books before. Yeah, you gotta pay for the shipping, but I had calculated it out. I had put the books I wanted in my Amazon cart and then looked at them on Pango, and even having to pay the individual shipping like for each seller, it was still cheaper to do that and pay like multiple shipping fees than to get them brand new off of Amazon. So I think I'm a convert, and they came in really good condition. So let's get started. All right, this first one, I had pre-ordered this a long time ago, and this is perfect for November, for Nonfiction November, and that is Toil Trouble, a women's history of the occult. So these are the same authors who wrote, I think Monster She Wrote. Yeah, Monster She Wrote. And this is by Quirk Books. So I'm really excited to get into this. It says a celebration of magical women and non-binary people in American history, from Salem to Witch Talk. Meet the mystical women and non-binary people from U.S. history who found strength through the supernatural, and those who are still forging the way today. So it looks like it's going to cover Marie Laveau, Voodoo Queen of New Orleans, and if you have seen American Horror Story, was it the Coven season? She was in that. Oh, Elvira. Joan Quigley, personal psychic to Nancy Reagan. Okay. For everyone who dares to be 100% that witch. That's funny. So let's see, it covers designing witches, so it says shaping the occult, the spirits go to Washington, politicizing the occult, ghosts and glory, monetizing the occult, paranormal investigation, challenging the occult, and 100% that witch, embracing the occult. And it even has like a big bibliography in the back if you want to do more reading on the topic. And it's got all kinds of little, like, I don't know what you call these, like little like side vignettes, like in between and in the middle of chapters. They're like little quotes. So it's a really beautifully made book, and it's even got this like shimmery, I don't know if you can see that with the ring light, like a shimmery foil here. So I am excited to get to that one. I don't think I'll read it like cover to cover in one sitting. I think that's the kind of book where I'll do like a chapter here or there. So, all right, also a purple book, but not nothing to do with that. So this, I have read this in the past. I think I had a copy, and then like I moved after college and got rid of it, but I wanted to have it again, and I really loved this edition, and that is The Woman in Black by Susan Hill. Very beautiful dust jacket, and then the book itself is just black. So I will be keeping the dust jacket on there. So this is a ghost story. It's like a very well-known gothic ghost story. It's also a movie now that's got Daniel Radcliffe. I couldn't remember his name. I wanted to call him Harry Potter. I know that's not the actor's name. So let me read you the little synopsis. So it says, Arthur Kipps, a young lawyer, travels to a remote village to put the affairs of a recently deceased client in order. He works alone in her fog-shrouded house, unaware of the disturbing scenes it holds, but his unease grows when he glimpses a mysterious young woman dressed in black at his client's funeral. The locals are strangely unwilling to talk about the sighting, and Kipps is forced to uncover the true identity of the woman in black on his own, leading to a desperate race against time when he discovers her true intent. Now I'll say it's been years since I read this, at least 10 if not more, and I remember it being I don't want to say scary, because for me it's hard for a book to be scary. I remember it being a very good ghost story, like feeling like, ooh, like my heartbeat going up and my palms getting sweaty. So I would recommend that one. This next, it's so short and the cover is so neat and I've heard a lot of good things. I had to get it, and that is Sour Candy by Keelan Patrick Burke. And I think this is what, 80 pages, if that? Let me check. 74 pages. So very quick read. Obviously this has gotten a lot of buzz all over the place, but specifically one of my favorite TikTokers now has transitioned her account into being about books, and she's now made a booktube. So I will link it down below, and I'll put a little picture here. Kaylee, she's amazing. She lives in New Orleans, so she talks about a lot of spooky shit. She reads a lot of scary books. Her apartment decor is amazing, which Kelsey, if you're watching this from Slime and Slashers, you might want to reach out to her because she's in your city. Anyways, back to the book. So she had read this, she had done like a live reading because it's so short. And I sat there and watched part of the live and I really enjoyed it. So I thought, oh, I gotta go get the book myself. So I just think that is the neatest cover. So if you're not aware what this is about, at first glance, Phil Pendleton and his son Adam are just an ordinary father and son, no different from any other. They take walks in the park, visit county fairs, museums and zoos, and eat together overlooking the lake. That sounds cute. Some might say the father is a little too accommodating, given the lack of discipline when the child loses his temper in public. Some may say he spoils his son by allowing him to set his own bedtimes and eat candy whenever he wants. That's not good. Some might say that such leniency is starting to take its toll on the father given how his health has declined. What no one knows is that Phil is a prisoner, and that up until a few weeks ago, in a chance encounter at a grocery store, he had never seen the child before in his life. If this is an actual book about spooky kids, creepy kids that is good, I'll be very happy because I think that's really fun. And like the movie The Orphan, I freaking love it. But I don't know, there's been a lot of books that kind of fall flat using creepy kids. So next up, I got this off of Pango Books. Somehow I didn't already own this, and this is Jennifer McMahon's The Drowning Kind. And Jennifer McMahon is an auto-buy author for me. I love her. I recently read The Children on the Hill, which is her newest release. She is my favorite thriller writer. I feel like no one does it as good as her as far as keeping track of storylines, timelines, different characters, twists within twists within twists, and like just the way she keeps track of it all, and it like makes sense. There's no plot holes. There's none of this like, wait a second, that character did that in a previous timeline, now in the future you're saying they did something else. Like there's no inconsistencies, I guess is what I'm saying. A chilling new novel about a woman who returns to the old family home after her sister mysteriously drowns in its swimming pool, but she's not the pool's only victim. Be careful what you wish for. I like to know as little as possible when I read Jennifer McMahon books, so I'm not going to read any more than that. Oh, there was a to-do list. Literally a to-do list. Bathroom, pull everything out. Organize basket. Reorganize hanging clothes. Sweep, vacuum, mop. Bedroom, change sheets. Vacuum, mop. Clean all baseboards. That person is way too organized. Anyways, I'm glad I have the book now. Moving on. This book I bought, I'll just be real quick. I bought this recently. I went to a very large used bookstore in my state. I had to do a bit of a drive, but it's about, I think they say they're 12,000 square feet. So I did it weeks ago, but I just posted the video, so I'll put it up here if you want to see what that was like. And I did get Nick Cutter's The Deep in that trip. So I don't own any Nick Cutter. I know he's really popular with horror readers. It's just like, I don't want to read The Troop. I know roughly what it's about. I don't want to read it. I don't like to do extreme body horror, which is really interesting considering I was an ICU nurse. Like I have helped be at the bedside with the surgeon, do an open chest code, meaning like we're doing heart surgery at the bedside, cracking open chest. Like I can do that and look into a like chest cavity, no problem. I don't know what it is when it comes to like horror books and movies. Especially if eyes are involved, I can't do it. Can't do it. So I think this one is not supposed to be as bad, and it takes place underwater, so we'll see. Okay, this next one. So a few weeks back, I did a video about witchy books, and I mentioned this book in that because I had come across it window browsing on Goodreads, but I didn't own a copy. And I was like, this book is so pretty, I need to have this. And it sounds interesting. In the House in the Dark in the Woods by Laird Hunt. So this is a magical and frightening tale of colonial America. Nothing is quite as it seems. A wife gone missing may in fact have fled her stifling and abusive home. The inviting splendor of new American wilderness may in fact be an orchestration by a malevolent force. Women who lack both voice and sovereignty may seek freedom at the price of damnation. That's no good. Set against the eerie, dangerous world of bygone New England, In the House in the Dark of the Woods is a historical encounter unlike any you've read, and a novel you'll not soon forget. Sorry, my dog is like, I don't know. I let him be in here. Are you stretching? Big stretch. Good boy. He is a 100-pound Great Pyrenees. He's right there. I really wanted to read this because, like I said, I was doing research for that that video about fiction and nonfiction books about witches, and I came across this and it just sounded so interesting. I really don't have any horror that's set in colonial America other than Slewfoot, which was like the genesis of the idea for that movie. The inspiration for me to make that video. I'm not making full-length movies here. Anyways, and I just think that's such a cool cover. Like, I am a sucker for a nice cover. Who isn't? Okay, this next one I bought purely out of peer pressure. I've been seeing it everywhere, and I feel like I've either seen people say like they don't get it and they don't like it, or people love this book. So anytime I hear that, I'm like, okay, I need to see what this is about, because even if I end up not liking it, that's fine. I almost would rather really love or really hate a book than be in the middle, because if I'm in the middle, I'm kind of like, I don't really have any strong opinions to like discuss this book. So I'm hoping I like this, and that would be Penpal by how do you say that? Dathan Auerbach. So this started out, was it the No Sleep subreddit? It started out being like a set of like creepypasta little stories, and then became a full-length novel. So multiple people have been reading this lately, and it has been on my list for a bit, but the person that kind of put me over the edge, she doesn't know this, but the person who kind of put me over the edge to buy this is Meg with Reading with Meg. She loves disturbed books, and I do too. My mind is warped, and I'm almost afraid to talk about it sometimes with people who don't also like horror. So I like to read books where at the end of the book I feel like depressed and just warped and disturbed. So I've heard that this book does all of that. And it's sort of trying to reminisce about childhood memories and now putting them together and realizing like what actually happened. So yeah, it says each chapter completes a different piece of the puzzle for both you and the narrator, and by the end of it all, you will wish that you could forget what he never knew. I think Meg, if she's watching this, correct me if I'm wrong, read it on Kindle and then liked it so much, went and got a physical copy. So that's also, for me, that's like that's a sign that a book is good, right? If you already own it on Kindle and then you're like, fuck, I need to have the actual physical copy of it, that's a good sign. So I'm hoping that I like that. Okay, this next one. I am supposed to read this month for Nonfiction November. Let me tell you what's going on, and then we'll get back to the book. So, we're gonna take a little side trip for a second. Let me tell you the story. So, today as I'm filming this is Friday, November 11th. I had all these plans for the month. I was gonna do all this stuff. I was gonna read this next book as part of Nonfiction November. I have not read a single book this month. Yeah, so we're about to get real for a second. So if you don't want to talk about mental health, if that stuff either triggers you or you're just not interested, just fast forward to the next chapter. So I have bipolar disease. I'm pretty open about that. I don't really care if people know that or not. It's not a secret. For me, I really struggled with coming to terms with having that and like not knowing what it truly meant. And it just really was hard to accept the fact that I have it. I've moved past that. I'm a huge proponent of being open and honest, that you can live a full, normal, happy, and healthy life with the mental illness. It is something that you're gonna have to deal with every single day. You can't just like ignore it and put it to the side, or it's gonna sneak up on you. And so I don't know how many videos I'm gonna have this month, because I don't know how many books I'm gonna read, because unfortunately my bipolar is currently the worst it's ever been in my entire life. So it's kind of a vicious cycle. When you start to feel manic, you don't sleep. Your body like physically does not need to sleep. Like I would be fine going off 3 and 4 hours, but the less sleep you get, the more the mania goes up. And then at some point it can get so bad that people can have full-blown like psychotic episodes. And so for a few weeks I was not sleeping well. I was kind of like running on fumes, and I just just couldn't do it anymore. And so I think actually like the day before Halloween even, I finally was like, we're not doing anything for Halloween. I have no energy. I don't even want to do the stuff I like. That's always a bad sign. So I've just been kind of low energy and trying to like deal with this and work through it and get better for the last few weeks. I'm starting to feel better, but that's why I haven't been very active. I haven't read anything. Therefore I haven't made any videos. I haven't really been on my Instagram. So I'm here. I'm not giving up Booktube. That's not what it is. It's just, if you don't live with a mental illness, it's very hard to explain. It is a painful, I mean, honestly, it can be a painful existence some days. And so when you are just fighting to get through the day and to still be here, if you catch my drift, if you're fighting to still be here, I don't want to read a book, okay? So, all right, not to I don't know, not to be morbid, not to like dump on you, but again, I think it's important to be open and honest about mental health, just like you would with any other physical ailment. So, on to the book. This book I'm supposed to read this month as part of Nonfiction November. Whether I'll get to it, I don't know. And that is Nightmare Fuel, The Science of Horror Films. I just bought this. It had been on my like wish list for a while, and then I think it came out maybe September. I don't know if I'll read this, like sit down, read it cover to cover. I'll just read a chapter here and there. But this is about like the science, the psychology of why people like to be scared, why we like horror. And then it even has like interviews with people from horror movies, like directors and producers and such. So I'm excited to get into that. All right. Now, this one had been kind of like on my wish list. I think I even had it like saved in my Amazon cart for probably a whole freaking year. And I had just read, again, like good things and bad things. And finally I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna buy it because it's like $12 and I'm interested enough, and we'll see where I fall. And it has a beautiful cover. So if nothing else, it's got a beautiful cover. And that is Pine. You see it? Pine by Francine Toon, rather. So this is set in Scotland. She is a Scottish author. It says a literary gothic thriller to chill the marrow. And it won the 2020 McIlvany Prize for Scottish Crime Book of the Year. Oh, and look at the back with the little rabbit. Ooh, that's nice. Okay. So a little bit about it. Lauren and her father, Niall, is that correct? Niall, live alone in the Highlands in a small village surrounded by a forest. When a woman stumbles on the road one Halloween night, Niall drives her back to their house. In the morning, she's gone. In a community where daughters rebel and men quietly rage, mysteries like these are not out of the ordinary. Lauren looks for answers in her tarot cards, hoping she might be able to read her father's turbulent mind. Neighbors know more than they let on, but when a local teenager goes missing, it's no longer clear who she can trust. That sounds cool. In a place that can feel like the edge of the world, Toon brilliantly captures the wilderness of rural childhood and the intensity of a small town claustrophobia, uniting the chill of a modern gothic with the pulse of a thriller. I also just love anything set in the Highlands. I'm gonna be a basic white girl and tell you that I love Outlander. But I prefer the series to the books. I can't get into the books, they're too long. So that sounds really good. I hope I like it. But like some of the reviews I had read just said it wasn't great. Like the pacing was off. The plot didn't really go anywhere. They just didn't feel like she wrapped it up well. I don't know. We'll see if I like it. Okay, this one I'm not going to go into detail because I did talk about this also in my Slewfoot. If you like Slewfoot, try these witchy books. This is actually 2 books in one. I think this is going to have to be a project to try and read this over the course of 2023, and that would be Robert McCammon's Speak the Nightbird. So this is also set in colonial America, and it is a witchy book. This is very heavy. This is like 800 pages. So it says, Carolina's 1699. The citizens of Fount Royal believe a witch has cursed their town with inexplicable tragedies, and they demand that beautiful widow Rachel Haworth be tried and executed for witchcraft. Presiding over the trial is traveling magistrate Isaac Woodward, aided by his astute young clerk, Matthew Corbett. Believing in Rachel's innocence, Matthew will soon confront the true evil at work in Fount Royal. But again, this is 800 pages. It is a thick old boy. Even though it's 2 books in one, we'll see. I think that's going to be a project, like read a chapter a month or something in 2023. Okay. This next one, I don't really remember anything about it. I think I heard about this on the Books of Horror Facebook group, which is like my #1 place to go for horror recommendations. And someone said it was like bleak and disturbing. And I was like, yes, that's what I want. Make me feel disturbed, make me feel depressed, make me question my entire life choices. What am I doing here? I love it. This is an Italian book, obviously been translated because I don't speak Italian. The 20 Days of Turin by Giorgio De Maria. And just look at that cover art. Oh, that is so cool. I'm a sucker for a nice cover, I will admit. I think it had to do with an asylum. Written at the height of the domestic terror in 1970s Italy, a cult novel with distinct echoes of Lovecraft and Borges makes its English language debut. When was this written? I thought this was a new book. It says 2017. I don't know when it was originally. Anyways. Okay. In the spare wing of a church-run sanatorium, some zealot youths create the library, a space where lonely citizens can read one another's personal diaries and connect with like-minded souls in dialogues across the ether. But when their scribblings devolve into the ugliest confessions of deviancy, the library's users learn too late that a malicious force has consumed their privacy and their sanity. I want to stop reading there because I don't want to know much more about the plot. But it does say an allegory inspired by the grisly neo-fascist campaigns. 20 Days of Turin has enjoyed a fervent cult following in Italy for 40 years. Okay, so 2017 is just this publication. Now in a fretful new age of lone wolf terrorism fueled by social media, we can find resonances in Giorgio De Maria's vision of mass fear, a mute, palpitating dread that seeps into every moment of daily existence. With its apocalyptic repercussions of oversharing, this bleak story is more disturbingly prescient than ever. That sounds so good. Yeah, that sounds amazing. It's, what is it, like possession, like seance? I don't know what the hell's going on at this insane asylum, but that sounds amazing. Okay, so then I was on a book buying spree of bleak and disturbing books to go along with my mental health and how I was feeling. So pro tip, if you suffer from mental illness like I do, don't buy your books when you're like at the lowest point you've been in years. Or you're gonna start questioning your life choices. So to go along with that, I started looking on Books of Horror and on Reddit for the bleakest books imaginable that people recommended, and yes, I bought them. So that's where this book comes from, and this is A Short Stay in Hell by Stephen L. Peck. See how those are like library shelves? It's really small. This is only 104 pages. And it's written by a scientist. He's actually an evolutionary ecologist and a professor. So that's interesting. It says, as a faithful Mormon, Soren Johansson has always believed he'll be reunited with his loved ones in an eternal hereafter. Then he dies. Sorry. Soren wakes to find himself cast by a god he has never heard of into a hell whose dimensions he can barely grasp. A vast library he can only escape from by finding the book that contains the story of his life. In this haunting existential novella, author, philosopher, and ecologist Stephen Peck explores a subversive vision of eternity, taking the reader on a journey through the afterlife of a world where everything everyone believed in turns out to be wrong. Everything I read about this book was amazing. I didn't read a single bad review about it. okay? And it's short, it's bleak, it's disturbing, it's gonna question what you think about the afterlife. That sounds great to me. Also, I have cousins that are Mormon. I had an aunt who like broke off from the family and married and converted, and I have a shit ton of Mormon cousins, and I've just always been really interested in their belief system and like the history of their religion. So that'll be interesting. A short stay in hell. Okay. Going on with the bleak theme. I don't know how bleak this is. This is what I was told. And I love escape rooms, so that piqued my interest. You probably already know what I'm talking about. And that is Reprieve by James Hahn Matson. And again, look at this beautiful cover. I have just so many beautiful covers on these books lately, and it's got the like uneven edges. Now, I found this on Pango Books as well, and it looks like it's brand new, and I got it for a steal. So I think I'm gonna start buying from there as much as possible. Now, I heard this is more of like a social commentary horror than like a straight horror. We'll see. It does say a chilling and blisteringly relevant literary novel of social horror centered around a brutal killing that takes place in a full-contact haunted escape room, a provocative exploration of capitalism, hate politics, racial fetishism, and our obsession with fear as entertainment. So it's set in the 90s, but when did it... Okay, this was written in 2021. This is a brand new book. Set in the 90s. Now, okay, in the 90s, I was growing up. I don't remember there being escape rooms in the 90s. Am I wrong? I remember escape rooms starting to become a big thing like in the last 10 years. But anyways, I guess it's neither here nor there. On April 27th, 1997, 4 contestants make it to the final cell of Quigley House, a full-contact haunted escape room in Lincoln, Nebraska, famous for its monstrosities, booby traps, and ghoulishly costumed actors. If the group can endure these horrors without shouting the safe word, reprieve, they'll win a substantial cash prize, a startling feat accomplished by only one group in the house's long history. But before they can complete the challenge, a man breaks into the cell and kills one of the contestants. Okay, I don't want to know anymore, so I'm gonna stop reading there. Okay, so one of the blurbs on the back says, it devastated me, yet let me hopeful. Well, I don't want to be hopeful, I want to be devastated, because that's the state of mind that I'm in. A tense, riveting novel about an American house of horrors where fear and desperate desire collide. Distortions that occupy their minds. Okay, I think I'm gonna like that. I want to be disturbed, so... Okay. This next one was also supposed to be bleak and dark and disturbing, and so again was part of this whole book buying spree that I went on. Ooh, winner of a Shirley Jackson Award for Best Novel. Oh, and Laird Barron gave it a shout out, who wrote that book. And this would be Gemma Files Experimental Film. Sensational. When we speak of the best in contemporary horror and weird fiction, we must speak of Gemma Files. Okay, Gemma, let's see what you got. Former film teacher Lois Carnes is struggling to raise her autistic son. While freelancing as a critic, when at a screening, she happens upon a sampled piece of silver nitrate silent footage. Okay, she's able to connect it to the early work of Mrs. Iris Dunlop Whitcomb, the spiritualist and collector of fairy tales who mysteriously disappeared from a train in 1918. Hoping to make her own mark on the film world, Lois embarks on a project to prove that Whitcomb was Canada's first female filmmaker. But her research takes her down a path not of darkness but of light, the blinding and searing light of a fairy tale made flesh, a noontime demon who demands that duty must be paid, as Lois discovers terrifying parallels between her own life and that of Mrs. Whitcomb. She begins to fear not just for herself, but for those closest to her heart. That took a turn. Like, I did not expect it to start talking about demons. Okay. I'm excited to get to that. That is what, 300 something pages? 328 pages. Okay, 3 more books. These are the most recent ones that I bought. I was on a work trip, and every time I go on a work trip, I like to see what bookstores are in the area, what can I buy. I went to a used bookstore. It was kind of a dud. It was mostly like mass market paperback, like romance books, and I'm like, I don't want to read Harlequin romance books. Anyways, so then I went to the Barnes & Noble in that city. And it had a much better horror selection than the one where I live. So I was like, oh, this is great. So I actually ended up getting 3 books. And I'm super excited for all of these. And I probably won't get to them for a year because, let's be honest, that's how it freaking works. This first one I think is more of a thriller. It's not horror, and that is These Silent Woods. That's such a beautiful cover. Like, it looks like a painting. Like, that I would want to hang up in my house. Okay. For 8 years, Cooper and his young daughter, Finch, have lived in isolation in a remote cabin in the northern Appalachian woods, which, first of all, Americans, Appalachian or Appalachian? I grew up north and I always said Appalachian. I now live in Western North Carolina, and let me tell you, you're gonna get freaking punched. It's Appalachian, okay? Like Appalachian State. Okay, so Appalachians. That's exactly the way Cooper wants it because he's got a lot to hide. Finch has been raised on the books filling the cabin's shelves and the beautiful but brutal code of life in the wilderness. But she's starting to push back against the sheltered life Cooper has created for her, and he's still haunted by the painful truth of what it took to get them there. Well, where's the mom? Something bad must happen to the mom. Did he kill her? The only people who know they exist are a mysterious local hermit and Cooper's old friend Jake, who visits each winter to bring them supplies. But this year, Jake doesn't show up, revealing just how precarious their situation really is. And when a stranger wanders into their woods, Finch's growing obsession with her could put them all in danger. Why would you restock in the winter? That doesn't make sense. Wouldn't you want to restock like when the weather's nice, especially if you're isolated up in the Appalachian Mountains? That's not making sense. We'll see. I assume my questions will be answered. This next one, this will be now my 3rd book of this person, and I'm thinking that they're also going to be an auto-buy author, and that is T. Kingfisher's The Hollow Places. So I already have the Twisted Ones and What Moves the Dead. Loved them. I really enjoy her writing, so I was like, of course, I have to buy this one. But I couldn't find it. Like, it wasn't at my local Barnes & Noble. But it wasn't like that much of a priority that I was like, oh, I'm gonna get on Amazon and buy it now. So when I was at this other Barnes & Noble in Tennessee, they had it. All right, newly divorced and living back at home in rural North Carolina, hey, Kara is helping out her ailing, eccentric Uncle Earl at his house, which doubles as a tourist hotspot, the Glory to God Museum of Natural Wonders, Curiosity, and Taxidermy. That's weird, but rural North Carolina, I 100% believe it. While Kara is closing up one night, she discovers a mysterious hole in the drywall along one of the museum's overstuffed hallways of oddities, an opening that impossibly leads Kara and her new friend Simon to a sprawling area that simply can't be part of North Carolina's plane of existence. As they explore the apparently limitless depths of this bizarre and frightening new world, a hub containing portals to alternate realities, and bear witness to its cryptic warnings, they can hear you thinking and pray they are hungry. Kara and Simon soon realize there was far more danger here than first anticipated. They have stumbled upon a place of unyielding madness and terror, haunted by abysmal creatures that gather strength from one's innate fear of them. Whoa, that is different. It almost sounds a little sci-fi. Ooh, the type is big. I like that. Because I am in my mid-30s now and my vision is not what it used to be, and I refuse to get readers. 337 pages. Okay. I'll see you next year. Okay, this last one, also peer pressure, also reading with Meg. I think it was her Creepy Kids reading vlog. And this would be Craig DeLuey's Suffer the Children. And I have never seen this in a bookstore before, but it was at this Barnes & Noble. I'm telling you, this Barnes & Noble in Tennessee like had a really good selection. Now I do own Craig DeLuey's, what is it, Children of Red Peak? Is that him? I own that on my Kindle. I haven't read it yet though. So I know Meg really enjoyed this, she said it was great, and I trust her opinions. I like a lot of the books that she likes. Isn't this about something that starts killing all the kids? Yeah. It begins on an ordinary day. Children around the world are dying. All children, everywhere. A global crisis beyond any parent's worst nightmare. Then, a miracle beyond imagining. 3 days later, they return. That's creepy. Shattered mothers and fathers see their sons and daughters happy and whole once more. Nope. Playing and laughing as before, but only when they feed. Yeah, see? Nope. This is like Pet Sematary. They hunger for blood, and they can't get enough upon which to feast. Without it, they die again. How far would you go to keep someone you love alive? Oh, that's gonna be good. Oh, that's gonna be twisted. I can just tell that's gonna be fucking twisted, and that's gonna be good. You know what it reminds me of? The Chain. Oh, it's all the way down there, but I have The Chain. Here we go. This red one back here by Adrian McKinty. And that is where they have to, there's like a chain of parents and kids, and you have to kidnap someone else's child to get your child back. And you can't break the chain, or like they all die. That kind of reminds me of like how far would a parent go to save their child? What terrible things would you do? I might have to bump that up the TBR list, because that sounds amazing. Okay. But you know what? First I need to focus on actually reading one book this month, because I've been reading this book called Leech, and I love it. It's probably gonna be one of my favorite books of the year, but I am just so, it's not the book, it's me. It's this brain. I am just struggling to concentrate and to finish reading it, because it's like a thick, and I don't mean like how many pages. Yeah, it's like got a lot of pages, but the material and the writing, it's dense. Like you can't skim it. You have to actually like pay attention. And I just haven't been in that brain space to do that. I've been in the brain space to binge watch Love is Blind and binge TikTok and not really do anything else. So, okay, that's it. What was that? 17, 18 books? So that's it. I'm really sorry if you don't see much more content from me this month. You know, I don't control this thing up here. Unfortunately, it's got literally a mind of its own, and I just gotta go along for the ride and hope that in a few days I'll feel better and I'll want to read again. So, but I enjoy watching all your guys' stuff and commenting, and I'm here in the background even if I'm not making my own videos right now. So that's everything I have for you. I hope everyone is gearing up to have a nice holiday season. It's crazy to think that Thanksgiving is right around the corner. This weekend is my husband's 35th birthday. We just realized, like, we turned around and all of a sudden we're 35. We met at 22. So it's like, where did the fucking time go? Now we're having to take ibuprofen every day. Like, ay. So I'm not sure what we'll get up to, but we'll have a good time. So I hope everyone has a nice weekend. If you're in the path of the storm, because there is a hurricane that's kind of going up the whole East Coast, I hope you stay safe. I hope you don't lose power, and stay spooky, my friends.